is that the three functionaries belonging to these sections, they are also on the spot. They will do the initial debriefing to the colleagues of the members that are there. That's now the initial debriefing. But there's also a formal debriefing where everybody will be taken through in a formal way and be debriefed by all functionaries of these three sections. And then the process, in that process, if there's a member who is actually finding it difficult to cope, a further intervention is also being implemented. In other words, what I can say that is the debriefing is being done for initially, and also it can be done for individual people, and also the session can also be for groups. I think that was the question, Honourable Chair. Thank you.
Other responses?
Yes, Honourable Chairperson, yes. I'm going to go back to the question on Police Safety Month and whether it's enough to focus on this once a year. I just want to emphasise that there's certain aspects of our communication plan that happens throughout. The on and off duty, parades and briefings, workshops, all the work that EHW does, it continues throughout the year. So this is not something we communicate on and talk about only once a year. But what we do is with September of every year is we try to heighten. So it's intensifying, but the work is it's definitely not only happening during September. So there's a specific focus because we do have our annual commemoration event, usually the first Sunday in September, and we then try to give heightened and a national focus to police safety issues and go maybe more on the national media than we would normally do. But in terms of our ongoing operational communication internally, that continues throughout the year. In terms of working with our CPF, that happens throughout the year. And the plan provides for every incident that happens and every environment in which it happens to be analysed and that information to be shared. And so whenever that happens throughout the year, we then engage with the police members. We make them aware of what's happening in their area, what they need to be dealing with. We make the commanders aware. We take it broader. So we might brief at a whole cluster as a result of an incident happening in one station. There might be a communication or a workshopping of the whole cluster because they need to be aware of a new modus operandi that could affect more than one police station. So, yeah, this is the emphasis on part of the prevention emphasis is on making police members more aware and more and to consider the possible risks that they will face. So that's part of our prevention program, is to communicate internally but also externally. It happens throughout the year, but once a year there's a national campaign to support and give emphasis to the work, and I think also to recognise the role of honour of members who passed away during the year. There was a question, I think the Honourable Mr. Mbele asked quite a number of questions about the analysis of the on and off duty killings. We have more information, I think, in terms of on-duty killings. Also the information in the presentation that spoke to firearms used, that applies to on-duty killings. The problem with off-duty killings is that we get a report often maybe afterwards, that it doesn't happen as soon as an on-duty killing happens on duty. There's immediate response. With an off-duty killing, we might find 2 days later that a member had been killed in the house. So the information is not as fresh, and it's only when you go afterwards and you do your docket analysis that you get all the information. So in terms of the information that my office maintains on a day-to-day basis, we can do a day-to-day analysis almost of the on-duty killings and pick up certain aspects like what kind of work the member was doing, what they were responding to, how they were dressed, how they were killed. But with off-duty killings, some of the information would come out only in the investigation. So that's why we were emphasising, as part of the police safety plan, there's provision there's actually now a specific task team set up to do that docket analysis and work on those investigations, so that we can try and look at, are there trends? Are the members, even off-duty, targeted because they're police members? Are they targeted for their firearms? So those are the kind of things that we need to understand. So I don't have with me all of that information that comes out of the docket analysis. A lot of that is also of cases that are still under investigation, so we wouldn't be able to share that information. But one of the things that we are looking at is actually providing that analysis on an ongoing basis as part of our communication strategy to the members as they in their parades, so that we make them aware of what we find in terms of docket analysis in their environments. The issue of whether there's firearms linked, and if there's a causal factor in terms of firearm, I think I tried to make the point earlier that when it comes to murder in general, there's been fluctuation in terms of the use of firearms. In some of the provinces, not all, where murders are committed and you analyse, you will find that, for instance, knives is the cause of more murders than firearms. But currently with police members, firearms are, and possibly because members are armed and they're known to be armed, so the criminals that attack police would do so with a firearm. But I agree with you entirely that the issue with the measures is that we need to roll them out at critical mass, and that is why there's so much emphasis on the on and off duty briefings, the compliance inspections, so that we can ensure that everybody is making use of these measures. The vehicle accident, we have not done the analysis that you've mentioned in terms of analysing whether police members are more at risk both on and off duty in terms of the general population. That is something that we could possibly take up with the Department of Transport and see if we can learn something from that. We have done our own analysis in terms of police accidents, and I know that the National Supply Chain Office has, in terms of accidents that police are involved in, identified specific risk factors that they've been addressing, which has resulted, I think, in the positive trends of the statistics in terms of police members involved in accidents. It also speaks to driver training, for instance, and maintenance of vehicles. The gender dimension, we have, compared to men, very few police women killed on duty, but it's difficult to make too much, because it simply might mean that there are fewer police women deployed in the context. So I don't want to make too much of that. Off duty, there's a higher dimension. Again, we haven't done that comparison with the general crime statistics. It's something that we can look at in terms of in what context is the off duty killings police more vulnerable than the general population. Thanks.
Honourable Mbeles, a specific follow-up on that one?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. Just a very quick follow-up in terms of the points that General Pino made on the higher firearm-related incident rates being because police officers are known to be armed. Is that specifically in terms of on-duty officers because they'd be wearing their uniform, or or would off-duty police officers also be known to be armed, which to me implies a degree of intelligence gathering on the part of the criminals who then target them?
Thank you for that. General Pino.
The statistics that I've given where we mentioned that police are more likely to be killed with firearms were specifically in terms of on-duty killings. So off-duty, that is not necessarily the case.
Other responses? Is that the lot?
Honourable Chairperson, there was a question about, I think, Mamelodi West and students that didn't have bulletproofs, and I think General Sithole did deal with that to some extent, but maybe just in addition to that, at the moment we've got a new system in terms of issuing bulletproofs, in that when students go to colleges, they're issued with a bulletproof at the training colleges. So that, and it becomes part of their personal equipment, so it's put on what we call a police SABC 108 form. So when you leave the college, you have a bulletproof already. So that there should be nobody who doesn't have one unless it's damaged, maybe as a result of a shooting or lost, then they have to account for it and they have to be issued with a new one. So I will follow up the specific issue. I don't know when the committee visited Mamelodi West, but we will follow that up specifically. But there shouldn't be any student, particularly not a student, because they are leaving the colleges with bulletproofs. Thank you.
Right, members, we need to close this one because we must go to the next one. I think just in terms of the presentation, we appreciate it, but I think in terms of technology, we need much more. And maybe a follow-up, because my concern is at the previous interaction in January as well, we heard about there is discussions, the CSIR are looking at it, but I mean, looking at the overall environment, we need body cams for our frontline people. We need effective communication, modern technology, GPS, backup equipment, that we are competitive in that environment. And I think that's quite critical for the committee that, I mean, if we're going to look at the budget also, I mean, in terms of the cap spend on those projects. So we'll need to follow up in terms specifically those technological improvements or discussions that are underway, so that the committee can understand, because it's about implementation date. Because we know, in terms of procurement, the cycle, the development, the tendering, are we talking about 3 years down the line? And our frontline members do not got the necessary equipment. So I think that is the concern of the committee that should be addressed as a matter of serious priority. So I think even in 2 weeks' time, I think General Munu is coming to us and SAPS with regard to the budget, that we need maybe, especially in terms of the technology, much more, I think, clear indication of what is going to be done to ensure that our visible policing frontline people has got the necessary technology equipment. I think we need that. I don't know, members, if there's anything else that also we need in that follow-up presentation. Honourable Mavunda.
Thanks, Chair. It's one follow-up and an input to say, I think maybe I didn't ask this question correctly, to say, is there any declaration of information on or interest by the police? I didn't hear the response to that. Maybe it's because of my questioning. Lastly, Chair, it's an input to say, I would perhaps, whether it's an advice or whatever it will be, to say at least police or SABS should participate in the IDPs. Because putting the ATM at the corner where it's a trap somehow, or dilapidated, unused buildings, they will know immediately, as long as they participate in the IDP or municipal IDP at the village level, if there is a village, or at the townships, so that they are in advanced in knowing their places. Like whenever the decision has to be taken by the municipality. I think that is my input. Thanks, Chairperson.
Right, thank you very much. One minute.
Just very quickly, sorry to take it. Just one thing, and you spoke about technology, and that is a major concern for me, that when a crime or that is in progress, and somebody calls the police station, what I don't find, and that seems to be a serious challenge, that is coordinated to all the different police, whether it's Metro Police, SAPS, and whoever it is in that area. As a result, it's just not effective at all. It's just not effective. So what we really need is an integrated system that could be picked up throughout the police, that there's an incident, criminal activity taking place in a particular area, so that people... What I have noticed thus, what I must admit, is that when a Metro Police officer gets assaulted in Durban, you've got 50 vehicles there, immediately coming from all over. The entire town is then blocked. But when there's a criminal activity as such, I'm not finding that it's coordinated. By the time you get through to the 10111, it's a problem, or you get through to the SAPS police station, it's a problem. So there needs to be a kind of a coordinator together with the cell phone subscribers, cell phone companies who make billions of rands in the country. Maybe we need to have an integrated system that message could be relayed all over, and anybody in the vicinity could then act immediately. But something like that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, members. I think it's quite critical that maybe we also include the 10111 issue in that presentation. What is the status? We did it, I think, some time ago, but there's too many complaints, and I didn't get a direct response regarding the issue in the Western Cape. So I think critical, also the safety of the officers and, of course, the public, but also what can be done more. What is the status report? We've got the technology. We've spoke about that also at previous meetings. So thank you very much to General Sithole and his team. We appreciate it. And for briefing us. We will go to the next item, and that will be a briefing by the Secretariat on the white paper. After that, we will deal with the statement of the national spokesperson, and after that, the Hawks is already here. We will deal with the DPCI guidelines. Thank you very much. General, you're welcome to go if you want to. So we'll give you 2 minutes, and then Ms. Umar is welcome to come to the front. Thank you. Right, Ms. Umar, welcome. We're happy that you are here. Members will remember we already got the presentation on on the police white paper, but there's one outstanding, and that's the white paper on safety and security. Today will just be to get it on record. We're not necessarily going to go into a big discussion, but again, remember it's with the aim of the SABC Amendment Act and also other legislation. So it's just to brief the committee members on what is the status, where are we, and we will have further deliberations on it as we go along in the fourth term. So, Ms. Umar, welcome to you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair, Honourable Members. Apologies from the Secretary of Police. She wasn't able to make it today. I'm going to start with introductory remarks. So the draft White Paper on Safety and Security results from a review of the 1998 White Paper on Safety and Security. Now, the review process identified two distinct policy interventions: a white paper on the police focused on the policing environment, and a white paper on safety and security focusing on an integrated and developmental approach to safety in recognition that safety extends beyond the purview of the police. Now, these two white papers were submitted to Cabinet for approval to advertise for public comments, and we did this in March, April this year. I'm going to start with the public submissions just to show that we've done extensive work, and these were the comments that we received. So we received a total of 21 public submissions, and these came from local government, from national government departments, that's Department of Environmental Affairs and COCTA, from provincial governments, from the university, research institutions and state research institutions, and then NGOs and CPFs, and one from one individual. Now, the comments on the safety white paper were quite positive. I think people are waiting for a paper like this to address the crime problems in the country. And I just want to go through some of the supportive comments before I go to the issues that were raised. So, yeah, the areas of paper in the paper that were supported include the uniform approach to safety and security, that there's an emphasis on coordination and collaboration of different spheres of government, that the paper supports a holistic developmental, socio-ecological model and life course approach to crime and violence prevention, that there is recognition of all of government responsibilities. So it's not just one department, it's a whole of government responsibility. It's inclusive of public participation and community involvement. It takes into account safety through environmental design, that we are establishing a national center on crime and violence prevention, and that emphasis on evidence-based approaches and data collection is addressed in the paper as well. The issues that were raised that we needed to address further in the paper include a need for more analysis on the conceptual framework, on the approaches, on risk and protective factors. We also were asked to include a section on masculine norms perpetuating gender inequality and acceptance of violence. We needed to build on the vulnerable group section, including the LGBTI sector, foreign nationals, sex workers, and early childhood intervention. We had a section on early childhood intervention, but we had neglected to address the 0 to 6 years. So we've included that, and then also socioeconomic factors needs to be addressed more in detail. I think we had the section on role of information and data collection, but we've built on that as well. And then there was a request for more discussion and clarity on community structures and clarity on the role of CPFs and CSFs. Furthermore, we needed to include a need for legislation to make community plans mandatory. We needed to clarify the roles and responsibilities of the different government departments and spheres of government on the implementation mechanisms for the white paper. We had started that, so we've now built on that as well. We need to provide resourcing and funding of local government, not that we provide it, but we need to make provision for this. More detail on the role on environmental design. It's one of our 6 themes in the paper. And then alignment of other policies and legislation and strengthening oversight and monitoring of implementation. I'll just start with the content of paper so it makes sense to honourable members. So the white paper speaks to the following areas. It's got a vision, an aim and purpose, rationale, why a need for a new safety and security white paper, understanding safety, crime and violence prevention, and then the policy architecture impacting the white paper on safety and security, and then the integrated approach to safety and security, which we are speaking through in this white paper, and the institutional and implementation mechanisms required for implementation. So the vision for this white paper is a society where all people live in safe environments, play a role in creating and maintaining the safe environment, feel safe from crime and violence and conditions that contribute to it, and have equal access and recourse to high quality of services when affected by crime and violence. In terms of the objectives for the white paper are to provide an overarching policy for an integrated approach to safety and security, to facilitate the creation of a sustainable, well-resourced implementation and oversight mechanism to coordinate, monitor, evaluate, and report on implementation of crime prevention priorities across all sectors. Now, why the need for a new white paper on safety and security? We know that since 1994, government policy in relation to safety was articulated in two key documents. That's the 1996 National Crime Prevention Strategy and then the 1998 White Paper on Safety and Security. But we know there were also additional initiatives within government to address challenges within the criminal justice sector, and we talked to that a little later on. Now, we also advocating for an approach that is integrated and long-term, is developmental and preventative, and it will increase safety of people. And we emphasizing that it extends beyond law enforcement. So it's a whole of government approach. Chair, the next few chapters, the next few slides contextualizes the crime situation in the country better. And if you read the document, you'll see most of it is taken from the NDP. So that's the basis of this white paper. So safety, the NDP says that safety should be measured by the extent to which the most vulnerable in society feel and are safe from crime and violence and the conditions that breed it. And this paper, as I said earlier, is aligned to the NDP. However, it's also aligned to the National Security Strategy, which takes into account safety and security of the person and the state. It complements the white paper on the police and is aligned to other departmental policies. If you look at the document, we align it to quite a few legislation and policies across government, and we have an annex at the back of the document that speaks to all the legislations and policies that we've taken into account. We're saying that effective crime prevention requires a developmental life course approach, and that's why it's a bit different from the National Security Strategy, which looks at this person and the state. Here we're talking about a person's life. In terms of definition, we decided to define what safety is, what security is, what violence is, and what violence and crime prevention is. So in terms of safety, we're saying that it's a state of an area based on the real and perceived risk of victimization. That security, which is a National Security Strategy definition, it's the maintenance and promotion of peace, stability, development, and prosperity using state power involving the protection of our people and their being free from fear and want, and the preservation of the authority and territorial integrity of the state. In terms of violence, the definition is the intentional use of physical force or power, threatened or actual, against oneself, another person, or against a group or community that either results in or has a high likelihood of resulting in injury, death, psychological harm, maldevelopment, or deprivation. And in terms of crime and violence prevention, the definition is strategies and measures that seek to reduce the risk of crimes occurring and their potential harmful effects on individuals and society, including fear of crime, by intervening to influence their multiple causes. Now, I mentioned earlier that this next few slides talk about the crime situation in the country. So we discuss also the nature of crime and violence. We look at structural violence. We look at the relationship between poverty, inequality, and crime. These are just a few that I've listed, but we go beyond that. We look at vulnerable groups and school-based programs. We also do an analysis of the violence and crime trends, and we look at the crime statistic in relation to murder and attempted murder. We looked at assault, GBH, and common assault. We looked at robbery with aggravating circumstances and common robbery, family and gender-based violence, gun violence, stock theft, gangsterism, children and youth, drug and alcohol-related crimes. Now, the next slide talks to risk and resilience factors. So we're saying that the interventions that we are prescribing have to be multi-sectoral and address multiple influences that impact on violence, as tabulated in this table below. So we're looking at individual risk factors, then we look at the relationship risk factors, community risk factors, and macro and structural risk factors. I won't go through the whole list, but we speak to all these, especially in terms of the relationship risk factors. We look at family violence and conflict, We look at harsh authoritarian parenting, low levels of parental involvement, neglect and or maltreatment, the role of caregivers or siblings in trouble with the law, and then teenage parenthood. So it's in each of these areas we look at what needs to be addressed. The next slide talks to poverty, inequality and crime. So the NDP says that safety and security are directly related to socio-economic development and equality, and requires an environment conducive to employment creation, improved education and health outcomes, and strengthened social cohesion. Now, the relationship between crime and violence, poverty and inequality is complex, and that those living in poverty are most vulnerable to falling victim to crime, most at risk, and usually least able to access the criminal justice system or victim support services. That societies reflecting high levels of inequality are most likely to be characterized by high levels of violence, and that a developmental approach to safety must ensure that both the macro and structural factors are addressed, and at the same time as addressing individual and community level risk factors for crime. It's the slide I spoke to previously. We also say that it is only through a combination of interventions in all three prevention areas, that's primary, secondary and tertiary, that safe communities can be achieved. Primary prevention is the general public or the environment. Secondary prevention is those regarded as being at risk of offending or criminal victimization. And then tertiary prevention refers to those who have already succumbed to either criminality or victimization. In terms of vulnerable groups, I indicated earlier that this public submission indicated we should build on this area. So we're saying that vulnerability is determined by context, that is the social, economic, and political factors, and intersectionality of conditions that breed violence, that women, children, youth, the elderly, and LGBTI persons living with disabilities, older persons, sex workers, foreign nationals, and young men are particularly vulnerable to violence. The way that vulnerable experience safety must be understood within the context of spaces they occupy, that's the social, physical, and economic. And the approach to combating violence and crime must address the specific nuances that speak to the needs of those within designated categories of vulnerability. Chair, the next slide talks to the policy architecture. So we've looked at a whole range of policy and legal instruments in developing this paper. So the white paper locates various policy intents in an overarching comprehensive framework for safety, security, crime and violence prevention. And relevant to the white paper are the roles of the Constitution, the National Development Plan, which I will talk to further, the National Security Strategy, the Integrated Social Crime Prevention Strategy, and the White Paper on Families of the Department of Social Development, the Integrated Criminal Justice System Review, Community Safety Forum Policy, which I will talk to as well, then the 1996 National Crime Prevention Strategy. We've looked at this as well to prevent the mistakes of the past. And then we looked at, as you know, the 1998 White Paper on Safety and Security, and then the Victim Charter. We've also looked at the Municipal Systems Act and the local government related documents, because there's a big emphasis on local government implementation in this white paper. Now, just in terms of the National Development Plan, it recognizes that law enforcement approaches alone cannot address South Africa's crime problem, and it's necessary to move away from a narrow law enforcement approach to crime and safety, to identifying and resolving the root causes of crime. And this is the main thrust of this paper, to addressing the root causes of crime. And to achieve this, South Africa will have to mobilize state and non-state capacities at all levels, which requires an integrated approach with active citizen involvement and co-responsibility. And the National Development Plan establishes building safer communities as a key objective. In terms of the Community Safety Forum policy, I've highlighted this because we want to use the Community Safety Forum as a coordinating mechanism at local level to implement prevention strategies. So the CSF policy provides a framework for an integrated localized safety planning and coordination at the sphere of local government that is aligned to national and provincial priorities. The CSFs are based on the premise that increased cooperation and interaction would improve the functioning of the criminal justice system and service delivery. CSFs are designed to serve as a platform for integration and monitoring the implementation of multi-sectoral crime prevention and community safety initiatives within national and provincial priorities. CSFs with community representation in the form of CPFs will facilitate regular safety audits with civil society, develop safety strategies and plans aligned with national, provincial and local priorities, and monitor, evaluate implementation of safety programs. Now the next slide I've titled the 2015 White Paper on Safety and Security. We're hoping to adopt it this year. So in terms of the actual white paper for this year, what we're saying is that this paper provides the policy protocol for a comprehensive, aligned, single criminal justice coordinating and management structure and an integrated approach to safety and security. And it includes the following. We've got an approach to safety. We have 6 themes that I will talk to. We look at the roles of national, provincial and local government. We look at the location and ownership of this white paper and where it is rightly placed. We look at institutional arrangements, implementing mechanisms, and we even provide a process map, and then the monitoring and evaluation framework. Now, in terms of the approach for this 2015 white paper, we're saying that the approach advocated recognizes the importance of intersectoral and intergovernmental consultation, cooperation and collaboration, effective and integrated service delivery, and community engagement and accountability at a local, provincial and national sphere to achieve safe communities, and that the roles of the health system, the social development system, the education system and the criminal justice system, but inclusive of that is a cooperative governance system, so local government and COGTA, are important in addressing risk factors contributing to violence and unsafety. And we're also emphasizing the role of the collection of reliable data to inform evidence-based and intelligence-driven approaches that's essential to crime and violence prevention. In terms of the themes in the paper, I mentioned there were 6 themes, and underpinning each theme are general principles of equality in access, protection, service, and commitment to high quality of service. Now, the 6 themes include an effective criminal justice system, early intervention to prevent crime and violence and promote safety, victim support, effective and integrated service delivery for safety, security, and violence and crime prevention, safety through environmental design, and active public and community participation. So, Chair, if you look at these 6 themes, it's nothing new that we're coming up with. These are already being implemented across government. So we're trying to put it into one document to ensure that everything, the budget will be ring-fenced and then the projects will be coordinated and integrated. And we don't want to create new things. We want to build on existing mechanisms that are already in place. In terms of responsibilities, I'm going to speak to the role of national department, provincial departments, and then local government in terms of this white paper on safety and security. So we're saying the role of the national departments will be to ensure the allocation of sufficient budgets towards safety, security, and crime and violence prevention measures. It needs to account to Parliament on the spending of budgets and outputs on safety, security, and crime and violence prevention. And in this regard, we're talking about departments need to reprioritize, because I don't think we're going to be getting new funding from National Treasury to implement this white. So government departments are going to have to reprioritize, but also ring-fence safety projects and programs, and then account to Parliament. Provide clear and sufficient guidance on planning and budgetary processes, and support by providing guidance, technical support, and capacity building on safety and security, crime and violence prevention strategies and implementation. So that's just the role of national departments. The role of provinces are to develop and implement provincial strategies and plans in alignment with the national strategy, initiate and coordinate safety programs, mobilize resources for safety, crime and violence prevention programs, coordinate the range of provincial competencies, including health, education, social development, and local government in implementation of safety programs, monitor, evaluate, and support safety and security, crime and violence prevention programs at local government level, implement and take joint responsibility for safety programs with local government, establish public and private partnerships to support safety and security, crime and violence prevention agendas, and provide resources, support, and capacity development to local government. Chair, in terms of the role of local government, we're saying that they need to establish community safety forums. This is already being done at local government level. They need to develop and implement local strategies and plans in alignment with the white paper, national and provincial strategies, including national and provincial strategies on safety and violence prevention. Local government also needs to allocate roles, programs, and budgets for safety and violence prevention plans at local and district municipality levels. integrate safety and security and violence prevention priorities into the IDPs, contribute to setting joint safety and security priorities and identifying possible areas for local government intervention, align internal resources and objectives with safety and security, crime and violence prevention, coordinate safety and violence prevention initiatives within the municipal areas, ensure the effective enforcement of bylaws contributing to safety and violence prevention, assist victims of crime through the provision of information around services that are available or where capacity exists, provide victim support services, and initiate targeted crime prevention programs aimed at specific problems and groups at risk. So here you can see it's a lot of work for the 3 spheres of government, but we're addressing it through, and I'll speak to that later, through the implementing mechanisms. So in terms of the location, because there's a multiplicity of departments involved across national, but across the 3 levels of government, we're saying that the responsibility for this paper lies with the presidency. That's the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation. Now, we've already presented this paper to the JCPS Cabinet Committee and full Cabinet. We've also consulted with DPME on this, and as long as we are able to provide indicators to them and secure some sort of funding, we'll be able, I think, then it wouldn't be a problem that is located within DPME. In terms of technical support, the implementation of the white paper is supported through a provision of technical support provided by National Safety and Crime and Violence Prevention Center. This will be located at DPME. We're not talking about a big new structure. We're just talking about maybe a director and 2 assistant or deputy directors, somebody who can just be in charge of this and take the process forward and ensure implementation and monitoring and evaluation. So the National Center will provide technical expertise, seed funding, research into best practice, and evaluation of agreed plans of action that promote community safety. And the National Center will interact with the Civilian Secretariat for Police at national and provincial spheres, as well as community safety forums within the sphere of local government. But because it's not only the role of the Ministry of Police or the Department of Police or the MECs of safety, it goes beyond that. We're just saying for this beginning that the Civilian Secretariat for Police will assist DPME with implementation. In terms of institutional arrangements, these are informed by the Intergovernmental Relations Framework Act of 2005 and competencies and legal mandates of relevant government departments and spheres of government, and the need for an implementation mechanism which is representative of all relevant implementing departments at different spheres of government. Okay, the last slide talks to the consultation process, just to give you an idea how far we've gone. So we started this process with presenting to the JCPS Development Committee. We then went to the JCPS Directors General Cluster. We then consulted with the Presidency on the location and on indicators for monitoring and evaluation. We've spoken to National Treasury on funding already. We still want to further our consultation with that. We then presented to the JCPS Cabinet Committee for approval to advertise for public comment. We then went to full Cabinet to endorse the approval to advertise for public comment. Papers we advertised in were the Sunday Times, Sowetan, the New Age, City Press, Mail and Guardian. And we allowed for 30 days for written submission, which extended to and it was then extended to 16th of April, so it was 2 more weeks. So it was 6 weeks, but if we got submissions later than that, we didn't turn them away. We did include them in this process. We also had a national stakeholder workshop where we had all the national government departments and we briefed them on what the paper was about. We thought it was important to present to the South African Local Government Association, given the role of local government in this, and SALGA is very supportive of this process. We presented to a steering committee that is headed by GIS, but it looks at it's a steering committee that works with municipalities across the country. So we got the buy-in of some of the municipalities, although they did raise implementation challenges. And then we also presented to the COCTA MINMEC, that's the political and technical MINMEC. The Minister of COCTA invited us to present this paper, given the role that local government would play in this implementing this white paper. We also presented to our provincial secretariats, given that they have a role to play. And then we have next week, we have a 2-day workshop with provincial governments. That's all the departments across this, not the JCPS cluster, but goes beyond that. So we're hoping that's going to be a success. Chair, I just want to say that in terms of, we know, and the concerns raised were implementation, funding, implementation mechanisms. Cabinet warned us about not creating new structures for implementation. So we looked at existing structures. So we've also done a safety audit of all the safety programs because we don't want to go and restart processes. We want to use whatever is existing. So we've done a safety audit across government. We will be providing a process map for implementation. So we can't actually say you have to, it's just, and that's what Tuesday's exercise is about, is to get the provincial government departments on board and see how they can assist in the process. So it's basically a process for implementation. Then we also will provide an M&E framework supporting this white paper. As I said, DPME told us you come with indicators to assist us to monitor this whole process and monitor implementation. So to assist all of government to align the current policy and strategy frameworks. And then in the long term, we'd like to legislate this paper, but it's still a policy process, so we don't want to talk legislation yet, but in the long term, we'd like to legislate process. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that briefing status report on the process. Members, I think it's quite clear what it's all about. It's on record. We will engage again with the Secretariat on this process. We'll also ask the researchers to evaluate and give us some guidance. I've also got some questions why you don't want to deal it with yourself and give it to DPME, but we will have that discussion at a later stage, unless there's a short one.
Thank you, Chair. It's very short, and it's just a purely factual omission that I think I picked up on. In terms of the slide on the role of provinces, I would like to suggest, in particular, because it is a constitutional mandate of provinces in relation to safety and security, although I know it is in the policing white paper, is also just to mention the oversight role. Because we mentioned the partnerships, which is also quite key, but I think the oversight role is important. In fact, personally, I've always felt that all the community safety departments in the provinces should be renamed oversight and safety partnership departments, but that's just my own bugbear. Thank you.
Honourable Lakane.
Debate. It's a debate. We are debating with the paper or not?
No, as I said, the purpose this morning is to get it on record, that members are aware, and we will also ask our research division to look at it in detail, and we'll come back. We will have another engagement, but you're welcome to raise any issues you want to raise. You're welcome.
I thought that the Honourable Mbele is making a proposal on the safety forum to renaming it to something.
Not the forums.
Oh, not the forums. Oh.
We'll create another opportunity because the Secretariat is anyway coming to us in October. So we will then, after we've done the necessary evaluation, also discussion in the committee, look at the areas we want to focus on. But thank you very much, Ms. Omar. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. Then, members, we move on to the next item. The next item is the statement from SABC that we must discuss. Members will know, I think the statement was distributed. I just want to get an indication if members got the statement. Yeah. Maybe just to indicate that at a previous engagement, we discussed a statement that was issued on 1 August entitled the SABC Board of Commissioners fully supports General Piega. In the statement, among others, the SABC BOC noted the issues that was raised in the previous committee, and at the Portfolio Committee on 12 August, we dealt with the statement, and the committee expressed its displeasure with the statement of the BOC with respect to the National Commissioner and the Farm Commission recommendations. Now, in the meeting, in short, the committee asked SABC to do 5 things. Apologise to the President for interfering in the process he initiated with respect to the following recommendations. Apologise to the Portfolio Committee on Police, and that was done. And then the SABC BOC should retract its statement issued on 1 August, make available the minutes of the BOC meeting held at Magubas Kloof, and make available the minutes of the meeting of the Gauteng Provincial Management Meeting. Now, that was done. And then we got the statement issued by Lieutenant General Magale on behalf of the board. Now, in page 3, paragraph 3, it indicates that nonetheless the committee was of the view that the statement had unintended consequences in that it created an impression that the board was preempting the process that the President has initiated following the release of the Marikana Commission's report. Now, that was definitely not the statement of this committee, and we believe that this statement should be retracted. So we created the opportunity, but also allow other members to come in, and then we'll give an opportunity to the Lieutenant General to respond. Any other members? Honourable Ramatakane and Honourable Mbele.
I thought, Chair, you would do the other way, but we could do this way as well. I thought maybe what's this interjection? No. I'm hearing the interjection next to me, so I wasn't sure whether I'm out of order. So I was looking at you. No, Chair. I thought that perhaps we should do the other way. Let's hear from the Lieutenant General before we deal with, because I guess there's an action that must be explained.
Lieutenant General Magale, over to you. You're welcome.
I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say because I wasn't asked specific questions.
Yeah, Lieutenant General Magale, we've indicated that there was previous meetings that was held with SABC. We've indicated that specific meetings, we asked that first statement be retracted. Then this statement was issued by yourself, giving an impression that the committee had a certain view that's incorrect. So we want that to be corrected. But if you're not, let's give the other members also an opportunity to come in. Honourable Mbele.
Thank you, Chair. Two quick questions from my side. I thought perhaps it would be addressed in the opening remarks, but that isn't happening. So I'm just curious to find out what's the rationale again for this statement was, especially given the strong displeasure that the committee had expressed about vocal expressions from the SABC senior management in relation to this whole issue. One would have thought that however the Board of Commissioners felt misheard or misunderstood, you kind of read the mood and you take a position that says maybe now is not the time to keep trying to push the envelope, and that's what the statement seems to convey to me, at least. So just the rationale from the Board of Commissioners, and perhaps Mr. Magale himself, if he has anything to add as to why this follow-up statement happened, given what the committee had expressed, would be the appropriate stance for the board. And then secondly, I'm sorry, it sounds like I'm going to keep banging on the same drum, but I still would very much like to understand how this communication happens or comes from the spokesperson based in the National Commissioner's office. If it has sign-off, what are the protocols? Because, yeah, it does not make sense to me. If I see a statement from in the name of the spokesperson who is based in the National Commissioner's office, it bears the imprint and the stamp of authority of the National Commissioner, which then pulls us right back into the original issue. So I really need to understand those protocols. Does this get signed off by the Commissioner? If not, why not? Because there's a whole line management issue in terms of organizational systems that is not being adhered to there.
No, thank you, Honorable Chair. Just a few questions, because I think the General prepared, or Lieutenant General prepared, that we ask questions. I thought it was going to be a shorter way, but it's going to be long. Because I think the first thing that I would like to know, does the Lieutenant General Mahale believe that this paragraph 3 represent the portfolio committee discussion on that particular day? And when did this board convene that you purport to be speaking on their behalf after the meeting that took place here, where the commissioners were present and they all made a statement? When did this meeting take place? The one that simply reversed, took a completely different view, or a rather dim view to what has happened in this committee, to an extent that instructed you to issue a statement on their behalf. But for your information, that some of those commissioners did come back and their views did not necessarily reflect what is reflected here when they were here. So I just want to understand from your perspective, do you think this is, they represent, in your view, what was discussed here? It is because here you purport to be representing and speaking on our behalf on what our views were. Who gave you mandate to do that? Because certainly we didn't give you a mandate to do that. So we gave you a mandate to do that. And I'm sure as a general in the police, it means that you have been around in the police and you have walked to the position of the Lieutenant General in the police. So you should understand at least how the police operate. So I would like to know as well, while you're a Lieutenant General, when did you start in the police and when did you get this rank of general? After how long have you been in the police to acquire that particular general, that rank that you have? I have a number of other questions, but they're all going to be hinging on the responses that we're going to be getting. Thank you, Chair.
Honourable Mikey Sheikh, Honourable Mula, and Honourable Vunda, and then Honourable Mabija, in that order. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Let me start off by saying, Lieutenant General, that your statement seems to clearly undermine the Portfolio Committee on Police. There was a clear mandate, there was a clear understanding, and I think everyone there understood what the requirements were. But your statement is contrary to what was expected. So it would appear that you are not giving the due respect to this committee. For what reason, I don't know, and where your instructions are coming from, who's giving your instructions, who approves the statements that you make, and who's approved them in the past, I don't know. But if you can also tell us whether this meeting was scheduled between all the commissioners. Like my colleague has said, it was very, very clear when we met with the provincial commissioners. This is not coming from them. And that's why initially I asked the question of intimidation, whether people are being coerced, into making these statements. But clearly the provincial commissioners are generally not happy with them. Not all of them, but most of them, I would have been. But this decision to make the statement exactly the way you have now sent it through, whose decision was that? Is it your own? Are you making the decision on behalf? Do you normally make these decisions on behalf of them and you send it out to the media? Or do you consult with these people and you come to a decision that you know, everybody is satisfied with? But it sounds like to me that is really not the case. And maybe you should tell us here today who specifically is giving you the instruction to send out this media statement. Exactly who? It's not coming from the people who you're representing in terms of this media statement. So it must be coming from somebody. So that is my concern with regards to that. And why is it that despite this committee meeting with everybody present in yourself and spelling out in ABC a simple statement that was required, why is it that you're choosing to actually distance yourself from the actual part that you are supposed to be talking about, but rather going on various aspects based on the first statement? But that specific, just asking you to simply withdraw these things, is not happening. So I don't know why. Maybe you need to tell us today what is it. I don't know whether you are under pressure yourself. Maybe you should tell us, because that's what we are here for, to know whether you are yourself are under pressure to make these statements. Thank you, Chair.
Honourable Mamula, and then Honourable.
Thank you, Chairperson. Looking at this statement that is wrote by Lieutenant General Makhale, it means that General Makhale, you disrespect this committee, because this that you wrote here was not our mandate. Our mandate was clear. Can you please give us clarity on this paragraph 3 of your statement? Who gave you the mandate to write this statement? Because 5 of the provincial commissioners said they didn't know about this. They don't know about this statement. Was it an instruction or what? Will you please tell us, because now we are confused. We don't know, or is this, you don't care about us, or you are not reporting to us, you are reporting to the National Commission, or it's her that says you must write this? Will you please indicate, because we are confused? Thank you, Chairperson.
Honourable Mavunda, and then Honourable Mabija.
Thanks, Honourable Chair. I'm putting my magnified glasses so that I'm able to see, because it is so faint. Chairperson, I'm trying to understand. Maybe the General will be able to clarify us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think it's number 6, line number 6, that says the BOC would like to engage further on this matter, as we believe there is information which the BOC was unable to share. What information? Can he share that information with us? If it is not with us, I think that statement is misplaced. If he can't share the information with us, which was supposed to be shared, it means it is misplaced. And if not us, with whom? Because I don't understand why this statement, it is incomplete according to the way I understand it. Thanks, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Mabija.
Thank you, Chairperson. In fact, Honourable Mabunda has covered me on the 6th bullet there. But then I feel there's this that one should say, that Mr. Makhale, what you need to be aware of is that when we are seated here and discussing issues concerning whoever, whatever, we are not here on a session of determining who has more reasoning powers. What we are here for is to assist, and we are not in any way witch hunting. We need to get to the truth of the matter, not to be going this way, swaying this way, being slyish, and so on, arrogant, disrespectful, and so on. We cannot come here to do that because we are public representatives. We are supposed to have been going home today. We didn't go. We are here to talk to you, and what we expect is the solid, constructive response. I don't know how to put it, but mainly, do you understand what I mean? This is a serious thing that we need to discuss and close it. We do not want a ducking this way, ducking that way, and so on, trying to convince us this is what, this is that. I felt I should say that because coming here and waste time playing with our minds or your mind, it won't take the nation anywhere. Who are listening and who will be viewing this, the masses of South Africa. It was very bad. Thank you.
Mhlongo?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson. No, according to me, having read the statement, Mr. Chairperson, I think maybe I find it will be somehow self-defeating on our part to start interrogating it, since the statement, I think, it caused some aspersions, maybe in terms of our understanding that we interpreted this as an action or an act that could actually result into a kind of mutiny. I think that is a major outline of it, and it is disputing that. Now putting us on a kind of misinterpretation of what then was happening. I was therefore then suggesting that since you have given us the terms of reference of what will have then to be done, let us then take the statement provided by the General as it is, but then deal with it within the main process of the outline on your terms of reference that you have supplied us with.
Mavunda.
Thanks, Chair. I don't know on whose interest that which the Honourable has put forward. Because what we are trying to understand about the statement is what we have discussed. Is the outcome to say, was there a need for this statement after all the interactions which took place in that particular meeting? Was this statement really of a help to sort of get together, to come together, to understand what is happening? So I think what the Honourable is putting forward, I just want to say I don't think it serves the purpose of what we have to get from the General. Thanks, Chairperson.
Yeah, I think maybe the proposals is not mutually exclusive, but let's give an opportunity for today's process. We'll look at what is the response, and then we'll evaluate that, depending on the response, and then we'll make a decision. Because it's a very serious issue. The national spokesperson of SABC speaks on behalf of the National Commissioner. We as the Oversight Committee is responsible voting for that funds. we must be sure that all is above board, because it's about corporate governance as well. I mean, there's a lot of principles involved. So let's give an opportunity, get the response, and then we'll make a call. Honourable Ramatlakane.
No, just two last before the General's response, Honourable Chair. The second last paragraph, it starts with a furthermore in the statement. Have a look at that paragraph when you respond and explain that if in the meeting that was held before, there was a view from a deputy minister about how the first statement should have been crafted. Why has this statement even deviated from that perspective? The last one is this, that an Honourable Chair says you speak on behalf of the police, national spokesperson, which means when you speak, the country must believe what you say. Everybody must believe that this is in fact the facts, this is what is happening. With the experience that we have from the previous committee discussion and today, and the statement, do you think we should believe you? Whatever you say, as a statement speaking on the reflecting on the issues that affect the country. Because this misrepresenting, serious in the form that it is, grossly actually misrepresenting, does not suggest that we can in fact believe in whatever you say. Because this experience simply tell us how do you correct that? Because I'm sitting here, that's where my conclusion is coming to. Maybe in your response you'll help us to get out of that perspective.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson. No, Chairperson, I think the Honourable Member here who was raising, lambasting me about what I raised is quite misguided. I need to be very, 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 very straightforward on this matter. We were clear in our resolutions as this committee. However, the statement before us reduces this to the level it has done. And my point of departure is noting this kind of vagueness that maybe would cast an aspersion that the committee's assessment of the impact, negative impact of what was done, ranging from the national statement down to the provincial statements by provincial commissioners, because it is actually then downscaling all that particular thing, was not tantamount to kind of promotion of mutiny. Now, I felt maybe it would be just a waste of time noting what even the level of understanding what the general is saying, that maybe the terms of reference that we've put before us will help us, because it will be doing further probing and also making a kind of understanding to us and also to the members of the service to say, how do they interpret their actions that may actually put the country into crisis sort of a state, and our own understanding at a political level of things.
No, thank you, Member. I think we appreciate your view, but I think the majority view is let's proceed with the current interaction. Let's get the responses. The committee will consider it, and in terms of the other process, of course, we will also evaluate. I think we've yes, Honourable Sheikh, and then Honourable Mabija.
Thank you, Chairperson. I should think somehow or either the Honourable's input is because the Honourable was not part of the meeting that took place on that particular day. That's why he's having a different view on how to do all these things. So it's just unfortunate that, Honorable, you were not there. You remember, isn't it? Wawasiko. And it makes you not to precisely have the gist of what transpired in that very meeting. Hence, you are going this way whilst you are going that way.
No, I think it's fine, colleagues. Let's continue. Honourable Sheikh.
Thank you. Very, very quickly, Chair. I would like Lieutenant General just to tell us today, since he was referring to the Board of Commissioners, all those commissioners, whether he did in fact interact with each and every one of them since he was giving a statement on their behalf, and if all of them were in agreement with the statement that was being produced and presented. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, members. General, over to you for responses. Thank you.
Chairperson, thank you very much. Perhaps, Chair, I must start with by saying the following, that I respect this committee. I understand the seriousness of this process, and I'm certainly not here to waste the committee's time. That's the last thing I want to do. Chairperson, and I'm also not sure if it's of material difference, what I'm about to say. I'll get guidance from you. When I was here the last time, I indicated that I'm not a member of the Board of Commissioners. I attend meetings on invitation, and I would then make statements as directed by the BOC. So the statement that was issued, I hear that members from time to time, they say it is my statement. It is not my statement, it's the statement of the BOC. So I don't know if that makes a material difference in terms of this process. Then the rationale for issuing the statement, and in there I will also talk about the process that I followed, which I also explained the last time I was here. Chair, you'll recall that after the session here, we also had planned to have a media briefing. So immediately after my statement, I had to leave to make those arrangements. So after the briefing, I found the members of the BOC discussing what is it that they wanted to say in response to what had transpired that morning. And my understanding was that they understood that it was a requirement of the portfolio committee of them to issue a statement of some kind. So,
but I mean, it was to retract. That was our directive in that meeting. Was we want a retraction, not a sort of statement.
Yes, that much I understand, Chair. But what I'm saying is, I'm just narrating what had happened. So, whilst they were busy there, I was in and out taking phone calls with regard to the statement that we had issued about armed robberies and attacks at the malls. But I had indicated to the members of the BOC that they should call me if they require my assistance once they have decided what is it that they want to say. And indeed that happened, and there were a number of drafts that were prepared, and there were ongoing discussions amongst them. Some of them had to leave because of flight arrangements and so on. But in the end, a statement was put together, and my task was, as I did the last time, to interact with each one of them to say, do you agree or don't you agree with the statement? So in this regard, all the provincial commissioners indicated to me in writing that they agree with the statement, with the exception of the provincial commissioner of the Free State. When I had a discussion with him on the phone, he had indicated to me that he had discussed the statement with one other provincial commissioner, and that he was comfortable with it. I would say roughly an hour after that, he then sent me an SMS to indicate his discomfort. I immediately said to him that, it is a bit late now in the day. However, please discuss your concerns with the other members of the BOC. And that if there's any directive from the BOC that I should act in any particular manner, let me know. The following day, the provincial commissioner sent me an email to confirm our telephonic discussion. And I then forwarded that email to all the members of the BOC to say to them, this is the situation, please give me a directive as what I should do. I haven't received any directive as to what to do in that regard.
General, I just want to know, just for clarity, who is the chairperson of the BOC currently?
All the BOC meetings are chaired by the National Commissioner.
Is she part of that process in discussing the statement?
Yes, she was. Okay. Then there was a question of when the board convened, the board, they met immediately after the meeting. There's question about paragraph 3 and other questions with regard to the content. Chair, I think that it would only be fair that those questions are posed to the members of the BOC because it is their statement that they can assist the committee there. Then there's a question.
Sorry, is it questions of clarity? Or
yes, Chairperson.
Let's take first the questions of clarity and then we'll come back to General Magale for the other responses. I'll go off we'll start with Honourable Mula because I will see all the hands. Honourable Mula.
Thank you, Chairperson. Who are those members of the BOC? Because I explained in my question here, because we called the meeting the next week. 5 of the provincial commissioners said they don't know about this statement. Who are those members? Whose instruction was that? Can you please give us the provincials or Western Cape or who we want to know? Because if they come here, 4 of them said they know the statement, 5 they said they don't know the statement. Who's who? Thank you.
Honourable Bija. Honourable Ramatlakane, and then Honourable Sheikh.
I just want to, and I apologize to disrupting the Lieutenant General's response, but I did want to understand when he says we need to ask them. Earlier on, I had an impression that the statement was drafted and issued by you. Now, are you suggesting that the actual draft was not drafted by you? You were just a post person who posted the statement to the media. I just want to understand that clarity.
Thank you, Chair. I hear you saying, Lieutenant General, that some of them had left. It was a little bit, not direct, but evasive. If you must just please tell us exactly who left and who were there when you finally decided this is the statement you are going to take from them. So we'll have a clear picture of who was there and actually who were not there. But my question again, very quickly to you is, knowing now that there was discontent among some of the commissioners or they were not in agreement, why did we go ahead with this thing knowing that some of them are unhappy until you resolve the issue of collective, because this is a statement from the BOC, which is totally contrary to what. So why did we have to actually go ahead with it knowing that, there were... But I think you need to be direct with us, Lieutenant. You need to tell us. I mean, once again, we're hearing the commissioners sitting there, part and parcel of the statement again. I mean, I don't know what is expected, really. It really shocks us. We thought after the last engagement it wouldn't continue, but it continues. So it seems like that it's not necessary for any of the provincial commissioners to be there. As long as the commissioner is there, she will issue the statement. That's it. That's what it is all about. So maybe you need to clarify for us and tell us. But I think what is important, Lieutenant, is that you making the statement on behalf of these people needed to have ensured, unless you're going to tell us that you've got a clear direction from an individual, whether it's the commissioner who, this is the statement I want you to give. Other than that, nothing you're telling us is satisfying us to hear. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Thank you, Chair.
Honourable Bailey first and then Honourable Klong.
Thank you, Chair. I may be preempting Mr. Magale completing his explanation, but I just wanted to check, because so far we've heard that the Free State Provincial Commissioner initially agreed over a telephonic conversation with the statements, and then in an SMS he then expressed that there was discomforts. Maybe it's still to come, but I seem to have missed what the conclusion of that was. Was that discomforts in the end just kind of noted and parked, but the statement went ahead, or was there an engagement process to understand why there was the discomforts and how that was addressed? And if in the end the Commissioner actually then agreed again to the statements?
Honourable Shlongu, I saw your hand.
Thanks very much, Mr. Chair. You know, Mr. Chair, when I started reading this statement, it has got, I found so many contradictions, I must be honest. For example, you go to paragraph 2. Paragraph 2 will be configured as if it is talking to that statement, yet talking to the statement that members of the service are supposed to retract, but yet talking to this kind of a statement of the general. Now, now one will not actually then understand what is at the back of the mind, and also the level of authorization of these statements within the police. That is why then I found it very, very, very contradictory. Because to me it is simple. The meeting that I attended was about police retracting their statement. The last meeting that we attended before this one. It was just simple, 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 simple. But here, if now you tend to read this to a person who's just a new person, it will be like the statement that was earlier released. When we concluded that it was tantamount to mutiny, that they are responding to it that it was not tantamount to mutiny, and there is a kind of justification of that particular statement if you read this particular statement. Now, that is why then I just thought and felt that maybe it will be very much important that as the process goes, it is actually closely scrutinized. There are so many contradictions that at the end of the day will tell an ordinary person that there is a lot of untruth, and particularly when the general is actually saying that he interacted with the Board of Commissioners. Now, not from a meeting, when then Board of Commissioners are saying, let us now confront the media, and actually then raise this and take the nation in confidence, and take the nation to our confidence as leaders of the force. Now, to me, that is why then I just felt this kind of, it purports to be what it is, but I cannot emphatically say this is a statement, because the statement would just indicate that coming from the meeting held by the Board of Commissioners on such a date, this was then what was resolved. No, it doesn't necessarily. It just reflects something else, that maybe the general took a particular line on his own to say, let me do this, and trying now to do gerrymandering of his own art of as a kind of spin doctoring of some kind, which also fails to even convince the audience that he seeks to address.
Thank you. Let's get the responses and also the additional input from members. General, you're welcome. Go ahead.
Chairperson, thank you very much. I'll just start with the issue of the discomfort by General Mpembe. As I indicated, I brought his discomfort to the attention of all the BOC members via email. And I indicated to them that I need to be given a directive as to what to do under these circumstances. But I must hasten to add that at the time this discomfort was brought to my attention and to the attention of the BOC, the statement had already been issued. To date, I have not received feedback from the BOC as to how to deal with the discomforts that General Mpembe had. I'm not aware if they have discussed it and how they dealt with it. I also need to also mention that I did not make contact with General Ngobeni from KZN province because she wasn't part of the meeting. But all the other provincial commissioners who were present here, the two deputy national commissioners and the national commissioner, I did make contact with them after they had met and decided that this is the statement they wanted issued, and I carried out that instruction.
So, General, you didn't draft this initial statement?
Oh. I was involved, as I said, that there was a lot of back and forth.
But you didn't draft the initial statement?
Which initial statement? The one of the first?
No, this one. This statement.
No, we can't say that the statement was drafted by me on their behalf. What happened was they were sitting in a boardroom and all of them were giving ideas as to what should sit in that statement. As I indicated, they would literally write it down on a piece of paper. It was taken to the secretariat where it was typed, came back, they looked at it. This one wanted this added, that one wanted this removed. But in the end, it was a collective effort to say, this is the statement of the BOC. Now, my job was to make 100% sure that all of them are comfortable with the contents of that statement. And all of them, with the exception of General Mpembe and General Ngobeni, who I did not ask, confirmed that they were comfortable with the statement.
Sorry, General, I just got to four honourable members on the same issue. Please come in, Honourable.
Chairperson, I don't know what to say because you said all of them. But there must be one person who gave you instruction to write this. And what we don't understand is that 5 of the provincial chairpersons of the provincial commissioners were here with us. And we are having this statement of yours. They said they don't know it. Who gave you the instruction? Because I don't think all of them spoke to you and said you must write this and that. And the national commissioner was the chairperson of that meeting. Who gave you the instruction? We want one person. If they all said and discussed this matter, but only one came to you and said, please write this and that. We all in one voice here. Only one person, not all of them. We want that person, not all of them, because they didn't come, all of them. Please, Lieutenant General Mahali, please do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Yes.
In a nutshell, I want to get it clear from you. You are saying when this thing was compiled, National Commissioner Pierre was present. Did I understand you well?
She was the chairperson.
So, if she was present, who was then chairing the meeting during you set up this? And lastly, as a normal human being, do you think I can be free to go against the National Commissioner on the issue she has got interests? Thank you.
Honourable Ramadhan.
It will go quick. I think let's stop generalizing. Let's speak straight. You work for National Commissioner. You are a spokesperson in the office of the General Commissioner. Now, in the meeting that is referred to, General, just tell us by name all those commissioners that were there, that gave you the mandate to issue the statement. By name, in the record. Don't tell us about, read those names in the record, inclusive of the one that disagreed, so that we know, because we will take this matter forward, because either they came for the second time to be economical with the truth to the committee here, deliberately. And lying to Parliament is an offense. That is on record. So I want to plead with let's not speak in parables. Let's speak straight. Who, this, and then we put it on record so that we know what we're talking about.
Let's first deal with Honourable Ramadakani's question. I saw Honourable Bele, there's a lot of hands, but let's first deal with this question. General?
The question is, do you mean I must deal with the last one, or must I deal with the
deal with General,
okay,
with Honourable Ramadakani's question, and then also the others? But I think we must just get that detail on record. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Chairperson. As I've indicated, in the room, at the time when I was going in and out and they were drafting the statement, everyone that was here on the day was in that room where they were compiling the statement. The National Commissioner was there, General Mbekela was there, General Tsumani was there, General Basson was there, General Masemola, General Mutiba, General Makadlela, and let me just see if I'm leaving anyone out, and General Mpembe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
This is very important. I think it's a very important information that we now get as a committee. If we can just get also clarity who else. Thank you.
Yes. Free State 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. I'm not sure if I left any other provincial commissioner out, but the point that I want to make is that in the process of getting the statement finally approved, all the provincial commissioners, all of them, and I've got that in writing, all of them, with the exception of General Mpembe, said they were happy with the statement. So that I've got in writing.
Thank you.
So I don't know if that is answering the question.
General, would it be possible also, I think you referred earlier to you got confirmation emails. Could those emails also just be forwarded to the committee? Thank you. Then we'll take other hands, specific questions. Honourable Bele.
Thanks, Chair. I now just need clarity in terms of the sequence and nature of events, because I'm picking up on a contradiction. The initial explanation that came up was that before we went into detail on the actual meeting, was that there had been consensus, complete consensus on the statement. and that General Mpembe only expressed discomforts afterwards in an SMS. That's what I remember hearing and what I wrote down in my notes. But now I'm hearing that his discomfort was expressed as early as when the draft was completed in the meeting, before the statement was issued, whereas we had heard before that the statement had been issued by the time that she expressed the discomfort in the SMS. Can I just get clarity on that, please?
Thank you, Chairperson. No, what I said is that during the meeting there was a lot of interaction, discussions as to what should be said, how should it be said, and so on. The statement in terms of sequence, and at the time General Mpembe raised his discomfort, the statement at that time had already been compiled. And when I discussed with him over the phone, he indicated to me that he had discussed it with someone else and that he was comfortable with the statement. That was my understanding of our conversation. Later on, he then came back to me to say that he's uncomfortable with the statement and he had several questions. That is when I then said to him, rather discuss your concerns with the other BOC members. And then once you have discussed, give me a directive, if you like to, so that I know then what to do. What is the directive from you as provincial commissioners, members of the BOC? What must I now do? And as I've indicated, I have not received a directive in that regard.
Honourable Sheikh, I think you first, and then Honourable Mabunda, sorry, and then Honourable Matlakane, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. Lieutenant General, I want you to tell us specifically, since you say all the provincial commissioners and the national commissioner was there, about her input in this entire thing. What role did she play in deciding that this is the statement that must be given? Because obviously you have been deliberating for hours on this issue with different people coming with different comments. She's there, she's chairing it, your national commissioner. So what was her input? What was she in disagreement with? What did she ask us to change there? That's the first thing. The second thing is you say that you've got emails, and I think our chair has alluded to that, so you're going to give us all that. And my understanding is that every email that you have got is confirming that those provincial commissioners are in agreement with the final statement that you are going to be giving. That's what you're saying to me. And then the other thing is you said to me, I think it's the general from the Free State, is it? That when you spoke to him and you said to him, if I understood you correctly, he must give you direction in this thing here. But that was after you've given the statement. You said you've picked up that after you've given the statement, you heard of his discontent in terms of this. So what directive or how was that directive going to help you when you'd already made a statement, including even part of that statement? Now you are aware that he's not satisfied with that statement. So I don't know how that actual directive was going to actually help you. But I want to ask you one further question. Having observed loud and clear that the entire committee and everyone concerned were unhappy about the fact that the meeting was chaired originally by the commissioner. Once again, this meeting is chaired again by the commissioner, who is directly involved as an interested party in this thing. Did you think it was appropriate, and were you comfortable that you were part and parcel in this process with the national commissioner, knowing that the entire committee has explained its displeasure at this process? Do you think that was the appropriate thing to do? Or again, I'll ask you, are you in a position that you have no choice but to do what your boss says you must do? Thank you.
Mabunda, then Honourable Matlakane, then Honourable Mabija.
Thanks, Chair. I think the General must understand that we are not a commission of inquiry. But being public representatives, we must give them an assurance that what the portfolio committee is doing it is intending to assist the department. Two questions. One is that of discomfort by the general from Free State. What was the discomfort about? And what was his input? To say, I'm not comfortable about this. It was supposed to be done like this one. Anyway, it was not going to help because already the statement was issued. But in your discussions, or in their discussions, did they actually told you what this statement seeks to address? I don't understand. Because he is saying he was getting in and out and in and out. But finally, he came out with this product. I don't understand that. Maybe he can clarify us as well. Thanks.
Honourable Ramatlakane.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Going back to that response of the fact that National Commissioner was in there and all others. That's what you said. I didn't hear counting Western Cape. Maybe I didn't write quick enough whether Western Cape was part of it there. I guess it was not. But maybe there is acting and therefore it's not counted. But the question is this, General. You said, and I want to play the cassette back to you so you understand. You said the National Commissioner chaired that meeting. That meeting that produced the second statement. With all the commissioners present, all of them were participating in drawing the statement 2, the one that we are talking about. Now, when you were going in and out, because not 9 people can draft a statement. Just one person who's going to draft a statement in that discussion. Who drafted the statement? The one that drafted the statement by hand. And what was the role of my understanding, and I'm sure you know, that if the National Commissioner was chairing the meeting, she had a responsibility to summarize the decision of that meeting and to say, this is now what we are agreeing, everybody else is now the statement, that you then acted on it. So my conclusion on what you say is that actually the statement was finalized by the chair of that meeting, which you are not a member of, and which is the National Commissioner. Can you confirm that? And in fact, I'm putting it to you that that's what happened. That's basically the description that you've given here is that at the end of that discussion, the National Commissioner gave the directives. You acted on the directive of the National Commissioner, which was that statement that had to be produced. What do you have to say about that?
Honourable Mumula, and then Honourable Mabija, and then we'll go back to General Makhale.
Thank you, Chairperson. Honourable Ramatlakane has covered me, but Lieutenant General Makhale, you said the National Commissioner was there in the POC meeting. How can the National Commissioner chair the meeting that was talking about her issue of support? And how can you explain that all the provincial commissioners were there? How can they say, no, we don't support you? Which means when she was there, she was intimidating them because she was not supposed to be there. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honourable Mabija.
Thank you, Chairperson. Does your job description mandate you to give advice to the National Commissioner, or yours is just to dish out statements without giving advice? Thank you.
Boucher?
Sorry, Chair, I don't want to labor on this, but just one very quick. But I think my colleague has alluded to the other issue of that somebody specifically, and if I'm chairing the meeting, like Chair chairs the meeting, he gives the instruction, yes, Lieutenant General, go ahead, this is the document, do what you have to do. But just to come very quickly, Lieutenant General, you were in part of the process when you were with us, when you knew exactly what the discontent was by the committee and things like that. So you knew exactly what we required in order to settle this matter or put it to rest. Did you at any time tell the provincial commissioners and the national commissioner that you're not happy with this statement that you are asked to issue, because this is not really what was required, and this is not the statement that was required to be put through to the media? Can you tell us if you at any stage did tell them that you are not satisfied with the contents of that, and whether you had got them to amend them or change them or whatever it is, or you didn't have a choice? Thank you.
General Magale, thank you.
Okay, Chairperson, thank you. Let me just go back to give that list, because now I've got it here in front of me. General Masemola from Limpopo, General Mutiba from Gauteng. Western Cape was represented by General Baktekile, who is the acting PC. Mpumalanga represented by General Magadlela. Free State, General Mpembe. Northwest, General Tsumani, who is acting. Eastern Cape, General Binta. Northern Cape is General Basson. Now, I must state that I am giving information to the committee as I have it and as I can remember it, based on the fact that there was a conversation that was taking place after this meeting, and I was busy, as I indicated, with other things. Chairperson, earlier on I did ask if it makes it's of material difference that the statements that were issued by the BOC, are they my statements, in which case I must account for each and every word, or are they the statements of the BOC? I'd really like some clarity on that, because I see as the questions are coming, they keep coming back to this thing that this statement was drafted and issued by Makhal. So I'd just like some clarity there, because then I would know how to deal with the issue. On the question of the presence of the National Commissioner during the discussions, at no point did I say that the National Commissioner chaired the meeting. The National Commissioner was present during the discussions, and just like everybody else, she also provided her thoughts into how this.
General, I must stop you there. From a protocol, because my concern this last 3-4 weeks is corporate governance at senior level in SABC. That's one of my concerns, and we'll come to that in the next few weeks. But if you say you issue a statement on behalf of the BOC that had a meeting, but nobody is chairing it, it's rudderless. That is what you're actually saying to this committee. I mean, we can't accept it. Please tell us what happened.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Perhaps let me say that differently. I am asked who was chairing the meeting. That's the question that is posed to me. Now, my reading of the situation, this was not a formal meeting where it was said, let's sit down, this is what we are going to discuss. The National Commissioner is chairing the meeting, giving direction as to who should say what. It's my reading of the interaction that took place. In fact, at some point, she was not even there in the meeting when, when the discussions were taking place. Because when the members left here, they went straight into a room and started discussions. And then she joined them at a later stage because we had the media briefing. So if I'm asked a question that was she there as a chairperson of the meeting, I can only give the response that I have given, and that is a truthful response. And other people may have a particular view as to who was chairing the meeting and who wasn't chairing the meeting.
I'll start with Honourable Mavundla and then Honourable Sheikh, Honourable, yeah, the whole list, yes. For follow-ups, yes, you're welcome. Honourable Mavundla.
Thanks, Chair. I think General is pulling us out of the direction. Now, for me, I think you want us to discuss everything, directionless. Because, as he has said just now, which means this document or this writing is a product of an informal meeting. And we have to discuss perceptions. Taking this such long time discussing perceptions, because this is just a perception, that which we are discussing about. And I don't think it is fair for us to be dragged into a directionless discussions. If, for instance, I think what I just depict from him is that of an injury to one is an injury to all. What happened to my colleague, it also affects me as well, and I will have to defend it. But unfortunately, what he is presenting to us right now does not represent what we wanted to get clarity on this writing. So it's just a merry-go-round type of discussions that we are engaging ourselves in because of him not giving the direct answers to the questions that we are asking. And I don't know how long are we going to be patient enough to listen one story all the time without getting exactly what we are supposed to get. I think he is supposed to give us answers for the questions that he understands. If he doesn't have the answers, I think it is good enough to say, I do not have the answer for this question. Unlike trying to speculate answers that are not there. Thanks, Chairperson.
Honourable Sheikh.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, it sounds like we can go on and on and on, Chair. You need a couple of days to just go over this. But it now appears that the National Commissioner was in and out. It now appears Lieutenant General was in and out. It would appear to me that most of them will be in and out. Then if you could tell us, because even if a meeting is formal or it's informal, somebody will take the lead. If we won't call them chairperson, let's call it a lead. Somebody would give it to you and say, Lieutenant General, this is the document, this is what we have agreed, this is the draft, go and prepare it and take it through. Somebody would have done that. Somebody would have initiated it and told you, Lieutenant General, we are having this discussion in this particular room, please come through. You could not have just pitched up there. Somebody would have said to you. Somebody would have told the others, come there. Maybe you need to tell us how this whole thing was initiated, who initiated it. And I do, maybe I'll agree with you if you say this is not your statement. It's their statement, not yours. You presented the statement. That's why I want to know who gave you the statement to present it. Then I'll make that statement the property of that person who gave it to you on behalf of the commissioners, the provincial commissioners of the board. So if you can tell us that specifically who gave it to you, that will also help us. If you tell us who were involved in the discussion, what were the comments, because I know what's going to come next. You're going to tell me, I can't remember what the National Commissioner said, because I was in and out. The Commissioner was in. It's going to happen. You're going to say the same thing about, eventually nobody were there, made any contribution, but a document was prepared. So I think we're running in circles all the time, really we are. And what is very clear, Lieutenant General, that you have a challenge, a very serious challenge into trying to not to tell us everything, to try and just keep it away from us. That is what it seems to be on. But I want to urge you, this matter is, whether we like it or not, is going to be interrogated. We are going to make decisions on it. We're going to identify who were responsible. We're going to go to great lengths to do that. So this process is not going to really help if we're going to just delay it and delay it and delay it and not give us enough information. You can see we are getting frustrated. We're sitting here on a Friday afternoon when lots of us were supposed to have gone. But what is not forthcoming is the actual turn of events on that day. But you presented that document. You presented it. So I want you to rather be a little bit more transparent to us and a little bit more open, because we want to get to the bottom of this and conclude on this matter. But if you can tell us finally the role that the Commissioner played in this and who physically gave you this document and said, now, there it is, go ahead, sir. I want to know who said that to you. Thank you.
Honourable Mtlekane and then Honourable Mabija and then Honourable Mula.
Chair, we actually have a very, very serious problem. Now, that is now emerging. General says there was no formal meeting. There was actually no meeting. In front of us, we're sitting with the statement that said the board decide this, the board will do this, the board will do that. What is the truth and what is the lie? Is what is contained in the statement part truth and part lies? The very opening statement here talks about the board of the statement. Now the general says, actually, no, there wasn't any meeting. There was nobody who was chairing that thing. It was just people, it was just in and out. What is it that we are discussing, General, if you can explain this? Is this a statement from the board, or is a statement that you wrote with the instruction from the National Commissioner and told the board that this is it? And therefore, you can say there was no meeting and there was nobody chairing, because it's direct instruction. Because you issued this board, this statement at the bottom, you said on behalf of the board. But you said there was no board, there was no meeting. What is it that was there that came to this? In fact, that said, whatever the committee was talking there, we don't necessarily agree with. This is our line of march. What was there? Because if we need to know, is this a real statement or not? Because somebody was saying it's going into the record. So what is it that we're putting into the record, General? I'm sure you have been commissioned. Have been commissioned, you know. If you abide by what you have been commissioned, you know how you should act when you ask these particular questions. So this has implication. It's not just shallow. It cuts deep. These names that you've suggested here, that came twice, and here in front of Parliament and said this is the statement. I'm happy that we are going through this discussion, because it then reveals what we have and what we don't have.
Honourable Bija.
Thank you, Chairperson. According to all the junk, I said the junk because Makale is going kwa le kwa, forward, backward, forward, up, sides, downwards and upwards. We really have been wasting time to discuss an unauthorized, or rather say an illegal statement. And I should think Mr. Makale o na le molato wa ho shumisha this logo. This thing is official, and you are saying the meeting was not an official meeting. It was an informal, which means there were no national commissioners there. There were personalities there. Doing all this, constructing this, which means then that let's not waste more time, Chairperson. This meeting must end, ending in a fashion that where Namakhali, o tshwantse o kope tshwarelo hore o dirile mistake ka ho issue an informal document under this banner, and o ra tlo dula mo nga nthane ya bo bone ba tshi khou re misleada ngori ngauri litsha ra deala na an informal paper like this, an informal statement claiming that ke BOC, whereas it is not BOC. It's a meeting, just a meeting like under a Marula Boom. So therefore, you need to just apologize, finish and clear, because during the first statement, all of you said you are apologizing, you regret, blah, 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 blah. After that, you go and sit under a Murula tree and you decide to say you are a BOC and you issue the informal statement.
Thank you, Member Honorable Mamula.
Thank you, Chairperson. Please, Mr. Makhale, it's Friday today. We want to go home. We are not at the soccer field here. You said, I don't know, was this meeting a formal or informal meeting? What was the agenda of that meeting? Who calls the meeting? Because you said all the PCs were there. In that meeting, who was chairing? Because I don't understand why all the PCs were there if there was an informal. Who calls them? Which means you are going to give us the attendance register and the minutes of that meeting, because we clearly don't understand. Just imagine from 12 o'clock we are dealing with this issue. You are going around the bush, you are telling this, you are telling that, you are telling this. Whose statement is this? We want to know. That's why we are attacking you, because it says here, the statement says here, issued on behalf of the board by Lieutenant General Mahal. We want to know, will you please tell us the truth? Don't go around the bush. It's Friday today. We've got a lot of commitments to do. We want to go home. We are not staying here in Cape Town. Please, don't waste our time. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, members. We're going to give now the general opportunity to respond to everything, and then I'll sum up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I must say that I'm disturbed to be accused of lying. I find it very disturbing. But be that as it may, I've answered the questions as I was asked. The questions kept repeating themselves. It wasn't me who was taking the meeting back and forth. But be that as it may, let me...
I just want to object to that statement made by Lieutenant Ugyeno. He has not been giving us the clear answers, but says we're repeating. We are repeating the questions because you're not giving us the answers. Thank you. Through the Chair.
Right, General, you can go ahead.
Okay, let me deal with the issue of the meeting, and perhaps, Chair, you can also assist me. As I indicated, the people that were in the meeting here, when they left, they went into a boardroom. So I can't say who called them, who told them to go there. That information I don't have. If you were to say, was this a formal meeting where there's somebody taking minutes? I didn't see anybody taking minutes. The question was asked as to who was taking the handwritten notes. I recall two people. At some point, it was General Binta, and at another point, Binta from the Eastern Cape, and at another point, General Mbekela. And the handwritten notes were then communicated to the Secretariat, who would then do a printout. It's then taken back into the room, further discussion, changes are made, taken back to the Secretariat. That was that period of back and forth. I'm just trying to see here if they have left out any other questions with regards to the meeting. Then I must just emphasize then the process in terms of how the statement was finally approved and was issued. The statement was emailed to me by the Secretariat after that back and forth that I had described. I then again forwarded it to the provincial commissioners, called them individually to say the statement has been emailed to you, are you happy with it? Some would then send me an email back. In a certain instance, as the instance of General Mbembe, told me verbally that no, he's comfortable with it, and then I indicated that later on that he raised his discomforts. I also received, I recall specifically, an SMS from General Setole, who told me that he was comfortable with the statement, and then later on sent a subsequent question. But the long and short of it is that there was a statement that was prepared, that was given to me, and that I took care to ensure that each and every provincial commissioner, or rather the members of the BOC, as well as the two national deputy national commissioners, confirmed to me that indeed we have seen the statement and we are happy with it. Then there was a question with regard to my appointment in the police. I did answer this question the last time, but I'll place it again on the record that I did not appoint myself in the police. There was an advert that was put out. I applied for that position, and it said that head of communication, amongst other things, and that it would be at the rank of a lieutenant general. I want to believe that I'm not the only person who has joined the police laterally at a senior level, but my colleague from HR is here. If there are questions with regard to my appointment and how lateral appointments are made, I'm sure he can assist the committee. Then there was a question as to whether was I under pressure to issue this statement, and if I was, who was pressurizing me. I was under no pressure whatsoever to issue the statement. I've outlined the process that was followed, and that statement was then issued. There's issues about the contents of the statement itself, such as what is it that the BOC would like to share with who. Certainly, I think that it's only fair that the question is then posed to the members themselves to say what is it that you would like to share. There's a question whether I should be believed or not. I have been in the job of communications for over 15 years now, and I'm a principled person, and I take my work extremely seriously. I do not believe that there is a reason, given what I've said, the information that I've given to this committee here, that I should not be believed. I have told the truth. There was a question as to whether part of my job description includes giving advice on communication matters, I presume, to the National Commissioner. And the answer to that question is that yes, I am required to give communication advice to the National Commissioner. Chairperson, I think I've answered everything. I don't know if there's anything else that I may have left out.
Members, any follow-ups? There's 4 hands. Yeah, first Honourable Mbele, then Honourable Ramatlakane, Sheikh and Mabunda. Honourable Mbele.
Thank you, Chairperson. I am absolutely nowhere clearer to having any clarity or understanding of the meaning and the origin and process of all of this. And frankly, it's quite familiar because the National Commissioner herself is an expert at saying a lot without really saying anything. So there's been very good skills transfer there. Ultimately, for me, what this speaks to is the urgent, dire, desperate need for the implementation of the NDP to make the SABC a professional state institution. Because whether we're talking about informal meetings that result in highly questionable media statements, or we're talking about formal meetings that result in politically inappropriate statements in terms of the first statement, and the nature of this engagement that we're having with the committee, it just once again reinforces for me the fact that the senior management of the SABC is compromised to the core. It is systemically dysfunctional, and we see the results on the ground whenever we've done our oversight visits. So at this point, Chair, I think I've exhausted my stamina on this point, but it simply reinforces and clarifies the major challenges the SABC face, and it all does come from the top, I'm afraid.
Honourable Ramatlakane.
No, thank you, Honourable Chair. Let me contain my follow-up to a small follow-up, because the more the explanation comes, the more questions arises. With respect, General, earlier on, you told us the production of the statement to a point of it being finalized, being sent for typing by everybody in the room. Everybody agreed that this is what we want to communicate. And later, you now have a responsibility of going back to all the 9 provincial commissioners, or 8, or maybe 10, inclusive of the deputy national, who already approved the statement, to reapprove a statement again to you. What do you make of this? Because I can't, the board meet, informal or semi-formal. The 2 people draft a statement, Provincial Commissioner Peter and Bekela, it goes signed off, it's going to be typed. But now you must now again go back to 9 of them. What for? If the statement was agreed, signed off by the board. Why? Maybe you can help us to understand that. Who is the secretariat? This question I don't understand. Is a machine a secretariat or human being? In this meeting, they always say a colonel will be the secretariat for this. He's helping us to run the machine. Is that the reference to him or other people? Who are these? Can you put names to it so that we understand what we're talking about?
Honourable Sheikh, then Honourable Mabunda, that will be the last, and then the responses, then we will sum up because we'll then take a 5-minute break before we deal with the Hawks presentation.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, my first concern is that I think one of the questions was not answered as to who invited you, Lieutenant General, to that particular venue where this meeting was taking place. You could not tell us how every one of them got there, but at least you can tell us how you got there. That might help me a little bit. The second thing is this: I want to know whether you consulted with the National Commissioner with this finalized statement. And I agree with my colleague here that my serious concern is this draft was visiting the Secretary's office and your venue 20 times before it was finalized. So the purpose of sending it to and fro, Chairperson, in my understanding, is to come up with a final document. So I'm a little bit confused why this would have had to wait for it to be emailed to everybody. But having said that, we accept what you originally said, that every commissioner present was emailed and you've got documentation confirming that they are in agreement with it. So you're going to actually make that available for us in any case. Chair, the other serious challenge that I have is that you are not able to tell us, even though you were there, who was there, who left, who didn't, what part the chairperson, the commissioner, what was her input in terms of the contents of that draft, although she was there and discussing it. And for that, you leave me with no other alternative but to believe and understand that the person totally responsible to deciding what should be on that media statement would be the chairperson or the commissioner herself. And because nothing that anybody else said was important. And for that I wanted to know, when in actual fact did you speak to, I think it's the commissioner from the Free State that was not in agreement? And how long before that did you actually present this or submit this to the media, the statement? Because if all these people were there and you were sending it to and fro and reaching conclusion, this is what I want. But it would appear that the next day or whenever, and you've only got this from the Secretariat once it was completed in what you are saying to me, you got in touch with the different commissioners, you've sent it out to them, which I would imagine the Secretariat should have done, but you've done it, you've sent it out, you've got feedback. One of them sometimes later was not happy. And then you decide, but that was all happening while you've already issued the statement. And I find that so difficult, because what is the purpose of even sending it through to these people, communicating with these people, if they have got challenges and you've decided you're giving it through? So my understanding would be, when you send me an email wanting me to give my opinion, you will check what my opinion is before you will go and submit the statement. But you did not do that. You just went in and stated them. I don't believe that you have given the statement. This is your statement. You gave it the way you want to give it. I'm not convinced of that, no. I'm convinced you were given the statement and you were told, take this and now go and do this. And which is what your job is, to take the instructions. You took them and you fulfilled it. That is. So for me, I think what you need to do, Lieutenant General, is if you can tell us where was this venue, what time was this meeting on that particular day? Or I think you're not calling it a meeting now, we're calling it an informal gathering. But fortunately, it does not fall under the too many, what is the rule, Chair, in terms of if you are having an informal gathering and there's too many people and you can't be charged. So fortunately, in this case, it was not that. But again, I want to say, tell us where the venue was, what time it was. Because what is going to happen, I can see, is where this is coming. When the provincial commissioners are going to come back here, they're going to distance themselves from this document, which they've done before. And in order to ensure there's a loophole there, we now hear people were going in and going out, going in and going out. So that is where the argument is going to be. So I think you should tell us where this happened, when did it happen, when did you actually send it out to them? Why did you not wait for a response before you give it to the media? And whether you consulted with the National Commissioner that this is in fact the statement I'm now ready to release to the media, and what was a comment. And what I did not hear, but I asked repeatedly before, is what was the input of the Commissioner at that meeting, that you cannot say you were not there entirely, you were in and out, but for a very great part of that meeting you were there. If you can just tell us what was her view and her comments in terms of the contents and what it should be like. Thank you, Chair.
Right, the last two speakers will be Honourable Mavundla and Honourable Mamula. and then I'm going to give General Magale opportunity to respond, whatever you want to say, and then I'll sum up the way forward on this issue. Thank you.
Thanks, Chairperson. I just imagine the type of a meeting, what do you call it, where members of the meeting get in, get out, get in, and finally take the decision that will bind almost everybody, whether you were there or not. You know, I just imagine the type of a meeting be held in Eshebin, because in Eshebin, there is no point of order, there is no chairperson, everybody is talking to everyone. So I think that meeting was not perhaps meant to be a meeting to take the decision. But Chairperson, can we have a printout of the SMSs and the emails which the general was having conversation with the commissioners? If we can have that as well. But I think, General, your attitude determines your altitude. Because the manner in which you present this to us, it's an indication that there is an attitude which determines what you think you want to achieve. And unfortunately, perhaps it may not work properly. Lastly, Chairperson, just an input to say, he made mention of his experience of 15 years in communication. But I don't think his 15 years of experience in communication does that suggest to say he does not have any room to learn from others. Does not suggest that he is so saturated such that there is no small room to accommodate, to say, this is what I learned through these processes. Because it doesn't help to have the pride that you do not want to say, on this one, I apologize, I made a mistake. So that you are able to learn. Because if you stick to one place and one thing only, you kick away all the inputs that will make you to learn more or to open a vacuum for something positive to get in and kick out those things which are no longer useful. So I think we need to assist him as well. But he must be ready to be assisted. Because in the process, we are also learning from him that you can be, for the lack of better word, I wouldn't want to say arrogant, but to say he is not ready even to move an inch towards telling us as to what happened during that process. Because definitely I'm suffering from that disability of understanding his steadfast on his position not to move, even to see the positive side of what we are discussing about. And I think if that is the attitude, he will get it wrong, because he is still going to be the communication officer in that office. So please, General, try to understand the frustration that we have because of the informal meetings that you hold and take decisions which we think are not correct for the nation. Thank you, Chairperson.
Honourable Mula, you're the last.
Thank you, Chairperson. Mr. Mokhale, who are you protecting? The first meeting, the first statement that was issued, it was issued at Makhuba's Kloof, and it was a scheduled meeting. Where was this statement issued? Was it again a scheduled meeting? Who invited the POC members to that meeting? Can you please change your attitude? Please change your attitude. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, members. That's all the questions on this issue for today. We'll give General Mokhale opportunity to respond.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, with your permission, I request not to respond to personal attacks. I don't think that is the intention of this meeting. I'd rather just deal with the factual questions that have been put before me. There was a question as to precisely what time this meeting took place. I would be lying if I said I knew what time the meeting took place. There was quite a lot of activities. As I indicated, after the session here, we went into the boardroom on the 9th floor. We had a media briefing, and the provincial commissioners and others met and had this discussion. I've indicated that I don't know who invited them there, but there was a question as to who invited me. I knew that they were in that boardroom, so as soon as I had an opportunity, I went there to go and listen to the discussion. I think also that, as I indicated, I've come here to assist the committee with the information that is required of me, and other information that is at my disposal. And it would really be unfair to expect me that during a conversation, even in a setting such as this one, a formal one, to recall word for word who said what when, So I've given the information that I have at my disposal. I've explained the process that was followed that led to the meeting, that led to the statement being issued, and I have explained what role I played therein. The last question was...
Sorry, Honourable Mabunda, is the point of order?
Chair, I think we are being misled here, because the General, even in the first meeting, he said he attended board meetings as per invitation. But this meeting we are talking about, he saw them getting to the room and he decided to invite himself to attend the meeting. So, and I don't understand. Maybe he needs to clarify us on that. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Member. General, can you please proceed?
Yes, Chairperson. I'm a senior member of the team, the management team of the South African Police Service. So when everybody left here, they went into a meeting, into a boardroom. I wasn't aware that I am not allowed to join them when they get into that room. I'm part of the management team, as I indicated. The last question was with regard to General Mpembe and what...
Chairperson, let's stop here.
Honourable Ramatlakane.
Let's just ask, let me just take a step back. General, this is not helpful. We are operating on the basis of your information, what you're telling us. Now sarcasticness is not going to help. Now you tell us you are a member of the senior manager. You didn't know that, you didn't have to go into that when you knew. Earlier on, in your own evidence, you said you're not a member of you're not a board member. And therefore you don't participate in those meetings. You carry out what has been decided. That's all we are trying to show you, what you are presenting. That's a whole lot of contract. Now you say, you're basically putting us now into almost like we are unfair to you. We have not been unfair. Please retract that. Don't be sarcastic. We can all be that. But it's not going to take us anywhere. We were operating on your information. For you to say you did not know you're a member of the senior management, we don't ask credentials, nor the meeting you attend at the rank you in fact have. But here the issue has been, you said to us, ask them, I'm not a member of that body. I don't attend. I go by invitation. Please.
Honourable Mabija Mamula, if we just keep it short because our time...
Chairperson, I would like to indicate that it's not that we've been seated here and we are coming out with nothing. There's nothing that we are getting from General Makale. He's told us that he's 15 years in this work of his. And there's a saying that it's difficult to change the modus operandi of an old dog, trying to teach an old dog new tricks when it is used to the tricks it is used to for 15 years. So we are wasting time here. There's nothing that we are going to get from him because he's used to this. This is his modus operandi for 15 years, and we cannot suck information from him. We are wasting time.
Yeah. Honourable Mbija, we invited the General, give him an opportunity to play open cards with him, give what happened, that's the purpose of this meeting. And I think we got very valuable information. We'll come to that. But I think let's give him opportunity. Honourable Mamula.
General Mkhale, will you please respect us? Because what you are saying now, I don't know what you want to say, because you said now you just follow them when they are going to the boardroom. How can you say that to us? Because you said you go to the POC meeting when you are invited. That day, what happened? You just go, all of you going to the boardroom. There was no one who said, let's go to the boardroom and discuss this. Will you please respect us? We are not here to fight with you, but we want to know what happened on that day. And you told us that meeting was at the 9th floor. We don't know where, here at Parliament or at Pretoria or where, we don't know. Will you please respect us? Don't say, now we are saying this, and you change this, you are saying this. What must... No, you are confusing us, please. Please. That's what we are asking from you, please.
Right, thank you, members. General, over to you.
Chairperson, to the best of my knowledge, there was no BOC meeting planned for that day. So we had all come here because we were called to Parliament. So I would have expected that after the meeting, as we always do, we would go into a boardroom to have a discussion. So that was the context under which I felt that I could go and join the session and not necessarily wait for an invitation. The last question that I was dealing with was with regard to waiting for directive from the BOC, because correctly so, the members are asking what purpose would that have served. There are possibilities if the members of the BOC felt that because General Mpembe has got these concerns and were unable, I'm just giving hypothetically, we are not able to address the concerns that he has. Therefore, he's not part of this particular statement that has been issued. Then we must publicly indicate that he's not part of this statement that was issued. That was what I had at the back of my mind, that the members would meet, they would consider his concerns. If they are unable to address his concerns, then they would say, let's not include him in the statement that was issued.
Right, members, this is now the end of this session. We'll take a 10-minute, I will sum up, but we'll take a 10-minute break before we go to the DPCI. Will give us the briefing on the guidelines. Yeah, honourable members, as we indicated earlier this morning, the President decided to institute this Commission of Inquiry. And I think today's proceedings just shows you that it is absolutely correct to do it. Absolutely correct. Because we will need to have a different approach. So that in terms of the